As you are aware, when a taxing entity does not roll back their millage rate to the rollback rate or the reassessment values, we're required to hold 3 public hearings. We did 2 public hearings last week, so we're into the last public hearing before we have a final vote on that rate. We also advertise the rollback information in the newspaper as required by state law for the last 2 weeks. In your packet, the last 2 pages you have is the rollback calculation, and this information is provided to us from the Tax Commissioner's office. And on the M&O, for us to have not held the rollback for these public hearings, our rollback rate would have gotten us to 18.058 mils, but we are proposing a millage rate of 18.596 mils, which is a reduction of last year's millage rate by 0.004 mils. Also, just to let you be aware of, 1 mil generates approximately $4.9 million. The top 2 sheets in your packet is the calculation that I went through in order to determine what those millage rates for both the M&O and the bond should be this year. And then the middle information is the information that was advertised in the newspaper. Are there any questions about the calculations?
I have no questions, but an observation on the sheet of paper that you presented us with and concerns us historical financial data. I'm really proud of this system and the fact that since the year 2000 we have grown by thousands of students, and the millage rate in the year 2000 was 19.84 and it's down to 18.60. And while I realize that assessed values contributes to our ability to do that, I think it's also important to note that from the year 2003 to 2007, we've lost $18 million in state funding. So staff, I really, really commend all of you for really holding the reins in on our expenses. I think it's wonderful.
Also, a lot of our neighboring counties have already gone up to the 20 mil cap because they have not been able to make some of the changes we've made over the years to kind of deal with those austerity reductions.
They've done that while not adopting textbooks and eliminating programs, which we have not done.
Right.
So it is commendable.
It's also important to note that the local share that we fund versus the state has risen from 45% 5 years ago to now we're locally we're footing the bill for 51%.
Correct.
So our shares has gone up over the years.
It has.
So
And that's a statewide phenomenon.
Well, and I don't think local taxpayers realize that when the state cuts back, the burden they place is on the local property owner, and the governing bodies locally have no choice but to increase that in order to cover what the state has taken away from the local taxpayer. So, well done.
Thank you.
One note is the biggest increase this year had to do with the state reducing increasing, I guess, the amount that we have to pay for benefits. I think that went up from what, 16 point something to 18 point? So that we had to pick up the difference in benefits for our employees. We had to cover the cost and increase on that, which was a good part of where we had to reallocate funding.
And unfortunately, next year, we're going to have to really look at that as well because the state's pushing for the local systems to start picking up retiree costs, health costs as well. So that's something in the future that we're going to have to start looking at as well.
Would you say that again, please, ma'am?
The state is starting to look at health care costs for retirees, and it appears that they are wanting to try to shift the burden of that cost down to the local systems instead of only at the state level.
I thought that's what I heard you say. I just wanted to be sure.
What is going to happen to these systems that are already at the 20 mil?
They're probably going to try to pass local legislation too.
To increase it, so ultimately.
And because you can do that.
Mhm.
They'll have to.
Yeah, they would have no choice.
Yeah, so, a lot of discussions at the state, I'm sure a lot of those local systems are going to be trying to push back a lot of those potential cost increases.
So what it's going to be important to remember in the political arena is that when state lawmakers brag that they cut taxes,
They really,
they
they just
just
push
shifted it to a different governing body to come up with. That the number of dollars out of the taxpayers' pockets is not necessarily lower because they did that, and there may have been a reduction in services such as your child not getting new textbooks or having art or
PE, all those
PE.
good classes.
or those kinds of things that we offer, or increased class sizes, or parapros. So,
All
yeah,
those-
it's coming
all
from
those things that
somewhere.
we value in our
Right.
system.
Or locally funded teachers.
Or locally, or the, what is it, 300 some odd locally funded teachers that we have in this county.
This is all coming on the backdrop of the proposal that's going to hit in the winter for elimination of property tax to go to statewide sales tax, which is a very scary thing for counties, particularly like Fayette County.
What it will do is end up trying to level the playing
Right.
field, and our system
So,
it will.
Well, a specific example of what your state lawmakers might do to make it look like they are helping you
exactly.
while they are not. Okay. All right.
Any questions related to Millage?
Good job on that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank